Okay, wonderful. Global warming my ass. It's so cold outside. Never seen it this cold this early in the year. Anyway, I've been using and testing this new TOKINA 50mm f1.4 Opera for a few days. Let me first start off by stating something of the thousands of lenses I've had my damn hands on. Per volume, I've never had a lens in my hand this heavy. Obnoxiously huge and heavy. I actually like heavy lenses and cameras, believe it or not. I've said that in many videos. Never had my hands on a lens this heavy. It's insanely heavy. It's 2.06 pounds, I believe, 950 grams. It's 15 element to construction. I've actually seen the side cutaway on this lens, and it has an enormous amount of glass in it. Interestingly enough, it actually renders some really puffy, creamy bokeh. Let me first start off by stating a couple important things about this lens. A, it's a little too damn expensive. B, it is sharp as hell. And the bokeh is actually extremely pleasing and puffy and beautiful. And I actually love the way this lens renders. The unfortunate thing is that I can't stand 50mm lenses. However, the best 50mm lens I've ever used in my life, which I recently reviewed, the Voigtlander 50mm f1.2 Nocturne, is only like $50 more than this lens. It's a third the size almost, and almost like a third of the weight. At least it seems like. God, this is literally the heaviest lens I've ever had my hands on, ever! How on earth did TOKINA jam so much glass into a lens this size? It is just insanely heavy. I feel like if I had two of these, I could be pumping iron. Not that I do stuff like that. I'd rather pump a cheeseburger to my face. God, how many 50mm lenses have I used? 50mm lenses don't really impress me except for that last Voigtlander. I know what, and this is a copy of a Pentax SMC lens. The build and construction, the autofocus speed on this is actually extremely nice. It's quiet, unlike many of TOKINA's autofocus lenses, which are rather noisy, but I don't complain about that. Ultimately, everything's about image quality. At least it should be to you. Very sharp. This lens, it renders extremely interesting. It's usually lenses like this are not that sharp. This lens is both incredibly sharp and has some real cotton candy, puffy, bubbly bokeh, which is reminiscent of an old Meyer optic lens. I find this lens fascinating, both in a good way and a bad way. I don't like the fact that it's $1,000, basically $950. Ultimately, too, I need to make a comparison to the 45mm f1.8 TOKINA, because that lens is $400 and this lens is basically $1,000. Well, it's $950. Which would you rather buy, would recommend? And I have that Tamron lens. And TOKINA's not going to like this video. I'd certainly recommend that $400 Tamron 45mm 1.8, even though it does not render like this, nor is it as sharp as this lens. This is meant to be a competition with the so-called Sigma art lenses, and of course I hate Sigma for countless valid reasons. They're crap lenses that don't autofocus well, and their build construction is inferior. If you really wanted a true art lens 50mm, I would recommend this TOKINA Opera 50mm 1.4. It's absolutely fascinating. This is make a beautiful portrait lens. Let's look at some other people's images from this particular lens as well. I actually think, other than the price tag and relative to its competition, like the Voigtlander, which is only $50 more than this, and it's about, I said, a third the size and almost a third the weight, at least seemingly so, is a superior lens. And that lens scores a 10 out of 10. It's the best 50mm lens I've used in my life. However, it's a manual focus lens, but it is, build quality is also a 10 out of 10. I really wish this lens, if I would actually recommend this lens so highly if it were somewhere right around $600. I would be all over this lens, top to bottom, and every day of the week if it were right around $600, $650. $950? No. This lens is so shocking. When I took it out of the box, I'm like, my God, this is the heaviest 50mm. This is the forget 50mm. My God, this lens is heavy. Really, really, really heavy. Actually, I think this lens is awesome, and I hate 50mm lenses. I don't hate them, but 40 millimeter lenses are always better, or 55 or 58. 99 times out of 100, any average 55 or 58 renders better, has better bokeh, looks better. Forget about the field of view. I much prefer a 55. This lens is actually quite amazing. $950 though. Recommend it? I guess I better say nothing. The answer to that would really be no. TOKINA's not going to like the fact that I said this. They let me borrow this lens for testing, but you know, I got to send it back. I don't do fake lens reviews, especially not fake. I don't do any fake reviews, but I don't sell anything either. This lens is, I think this lens is absolutely gorgeous. I love the output on it. I know, and two, I mean, ultimately, did TOKINA price this lens to compete with Sigma Art? Because this lens is superior in every way, shape, and form to the Sigma Art version of this lens. It's superior in build quality, autofocus, performance, output, sharpness, everything. This lens is superior. God, this lens is heavy. So heavy. So relative to a Sigma Art, this lens is incredible. Relative to something that I actually like in some ways better than this lens, well, not really. This lens is definitely different. I mean, I got the link to this image below, and you can take a look at other people's images of the this opera lens. It's beautiful. This lens is actually hard to pigeonhole. It would be a great recommendation at $650, but not at $950, because for $50 more than that, you can get a lens, like I said, you know, basically half the size and half the weight or less, and it's a faster lens too, and it's a Voigtlander, even though it is a manual focus lens, and it would not be ideal on a Canon or a Nikon mount, rather for mirrorless camera, either a Sony or Fujifilm specifically. So this lens is hard to pigeonhole. The price, I absolutely hate the price on this lens. I love the way this lens renders. I don't care, I'm sure many of you would care. The only reason I mention this lens is so damn heavy is that some of you actually care about that out there. I don't care about it at all. I do find it shocking how heavy it is. There's actually nothing else I wanted to say about this lens. I'm actually fascinated and in love with this lens, but for $950, no. Excuse me, no. Let me say that another way. No! TOKINA, why couldn't you have dropped the price on this lens just a little bit? Because this lens is made in Vietnam. You know, it's not made in Japan, which I don't care about. That's perfectly fine. Right there, made in Vietnam. Could you just drop this price on this lens like about $250, $300? I mean, I would recommend it so highly. And I hate 50 millimeters. I mean, to recommend a lens highly that's 50 millimeters is... I've got so many 50 millimeter lenses too, it's obnoxious. I've tried more 50 millimeter. There's nobody on this earth that you're going to meet. I mean, there might be one or two people in Japan, some super hardcore lens nerds. I know I'm top 5 in the world of persons that have tried endless numbers of 50 millimeter lenses from endless numbers of manufacturers, and they're all just... This lens is not that. It is a fascinating lens. $950 though. See, I'm repeating myself. This lens is really hard to pigeonhole. I love it, but $950? No. And some of you out there may hate the fact that it is just absolutely obnoxiously, bombastically, titanically heavy as hell. I wish you could hold this lens and feel how heavy this lens is. It's so heavy! I digress. For value, I mean, this lens... If we forget about the price, I mean, if your daddy Warbucks and you got a crap load of cash, I would actually buy this lens. And for those looking at a value, I'd recommend the Voigtlander 51.2 or definitely the Tamron 45 millimeter f1.8 over this lens. However, that lens is slow autofocus. This lens does have smoke and fast autofocus. It's really nice. I was testing it on the Nikon D850 for a few days. So that's it. That is my logo Maki filled, like verbose. Not directly to the point, yet full and complete review of this strange and yet slightly overpriced TOKINA 50mm f1.4 Opera. It's an excellent lens. I would actually love to have it if I didn't already have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of lenses, and that it's priced too high. It should not be priced at $950. No! No. Thank you. TOKINA is not going to like this video. I got to be honest about the lens. It is what it is. I love it. I love it, actually. I found it quite surprising. I've had too much caffeine today. I'm going to blame it on the caffeine for me talking too much. So sorry. Thank you. Let me know how much you hate this video. Oh my god, you could have said all that in 4 minutes, but instead you like droned on for... Someone's going to say that. And they're right. Anyway, thank you so much for watching me. If you like these videos, you can click the link below. Tell me to jump off a cliff. I don't sell anything. I give honest lens reviews. Here spoketh the lens guru. Peace out, Girl Scout.